You're listening to Food Rebels, and welcome. This is the podcast that brings you brands, chefs, and live on-air tastings. A show that's dedicated to the more rebellious side of the food world, where we celebrate the people who have challenged the status quo. We'll be giving you a peek behind the curtains and inside the minds of the people who are shaking up our food industry. You know me, I'm the show host, AJ Sharp, taste expert, food writer, great taste food judge, and of course, business owner. I love meeting new people and tasting new foods. So, sit back as we hear more stories from people in food who dare to be different. Today on Food Rebels, I'm joined by someone many of you will remember from MasterChef 2023. Thuy Hoang wowed the judges with her creativity, skill, and dishes inspired by her Vietnamese heritage, earning her a place in the quarter-finalist. She's here to share her story, her love of food, and what she's been up to. Thuy, welcome to Food Rebels.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I can't wait for our chat. Absolutely love your podcast, AJ.
Oh, thank you, Thuy. Well, we met, didn't we? We were judging at the Quality Food Awards and we kept chatting away. We were having such a nice time. And the coordinator kept saying, could Thuy and AJ please stop talking to each other?
I know, we were too busy chatting. We didn't really actually look around to see what's happening with everybody else.
Oh, it was great. It was good fun. So you have been, I've been looking at you on Instagram. Have you been at Carfest recently?
Yes, I was really honoured to be invited to take part in Carfest. It's a charity led by Chris Evans to raise money for UK children's charities. And I got to cook on the big stage with incredible chefs and also got interviewed by Mark Wogan and meet Great British Bake Off royalties like Bryony May and also Candice Brown. And I think I was really excited to meet the winner of the MasterChef Professionals the same year that I was on in 2023, Tom Hamlet. He was absolutely amazing. I was a little bit starstruck. He's so young and he's got immense talent.
Has he? What were you cooking then?
Yes, I was doing Vietnamese food. So I made a mango salad on the chef stage. And then I also taught people how to make wontons. We wrapped wontons and we ate the wontons. And this was actually hosted by Ellen Manning. Have you met Ellen? She's an amazing journalist. Yes, so Ellen was kind enough to host me that day. And we made, I think, 80 dumplings. They went so fast. We had nothing left.
Oh, I bet. I can remember you telling me some of your recipes and it was making my mouth water of all these beautiful different elements that come together for Vietnamese food. It's so fresh and vibrant, isn't it?
It's so different. I think it's because people say to me, oh, is it similar to Chinese food? Well, we have influences from China, India, and also we were colonized by the French for 100 years. So Vietnamese food is a melting pot of Asian, Indian, European cuisines, which is so exciting. Our national dish is beef pho. I'm sure if anybody who's been to a Vietnamese restaurant, it's their iconic dish. And it's based on the French national dish pot-au-feu, where you boil meat and vegetables and then you serve the broth on its own and the meat with some mustard. The Vietnamese thought, well, that's really delicious, but, you know, we're Vietnamese, we can make it better. And, you know, so we add spices that we have in the area. So Vietnamese cinnamon, cloves, cardamom, fennel seeds, you know, lots of things that would enhance the flavour. And then just rather than onion, we char it and we also char the ginger to give it added flavour. And of course, being Vietnamese, we always love our carb. So instead of pasta or rice that's usually inside the broth for the French version, we add rice noodles and then all the different types of meat, the fillet, the brisket, the oxtail. And, you know, with the 5 flavours that we love, we want a little bit of spicy, so chili goes into it, a spritz of lime, and then also we like to add herbs, add a little bit of bitterness, interest to it. And then people kill me from the north. Tiny bits of hoisin, a tiny bit of sriracha. So if you're from the north of Vietnam, you don't go with the herbs, you don't go with the bean sprouts, you just have the pure version. And if you're south like me, please forgive me, a little bit of herb, a little bit of sweetness from the hoisin sauce and the sriracha. But I know when I go and do my review for Vietnamese restaurant, Time Out Last Time, I know when it's a northern a family that cook the dish because you don't see any of those condiments on the table. And if you ask, it's like, why? And I know now not to ask. So it's funny how it's such a small country, but the variation between dishes is vast. And you can tell, if you come to a family, you find that the broth is a little bit sweeter. You know, they're from the south. It's a little bit saltier. You know it's from the north. But they're equally beautiful. So I have no issue with that. It makes me laugh that you know instantly who these people are from tasting their food.
Yeah, that's amazing. And how did you learn how to cook? Was this from your family, or did you go to school to learn to cook?
So I come from a really foodie family, and when we came to Britain, we have very little money, and I'm always inspired by my grandmother, my mother, my aunts, who with so little money can turn out beautiful dishes. And I think it's really important when you move to a different country. As immigrants, food is something you hold on for your cultural heritage. And I think it's really important to see these inspirational women could turn something very simple into an incredible meal. And because we were so poor when we first came in the 80s, they used everything. So I'm very much like to use it in my fridge. I don't like to waste anything. It's a very Vietnamese thing because you've gone through such tough times.
Yeah,
you want to make sure that you use all the ingredients and try and elevate it as much as you can.
Yeah, this is something I remember from my own grandmother from living through the Second World War, obviously further ago, but being very, very keen to use all of the ends, using every single part of any animal, like honouring all of the animal and making sure that it's all been used. Same with vegetables, using everything,
Yes.
Getting cross with me for peeling a carrot or something. There's no need to peel a carrot, you wash it.
Exactly. And I always remember as a child that my mother I think we have a very small budget for food. And I know a chicken, she would use the bone for the stock. And then the meat she would cut into bite size to make certain dishes, and we get 3 or 4 meals at one chicken. And I feel quite guilty these days. So when you roast a chicken, and you pretty much eat half it in one go.
Yeah.
But in those days, a chicken would feed 4 of us, and she would make such amazing dishes out of them, like the ginger chicken, and then the fur stock or something. But just nothing's ever wasted, and the bones is used for something else. And I just love that, and it really make me admire her, and I want to be like her. But the reason I entered MasterChef was I thought it'd be great to showcase Vietnamese food, but also to show my family that I can cook. So I thought it'd be nice to, when you go to family dinner, they say, Thuy, bring a dish. Do you know, quarter-finalist MasterChef means nothing. When I say to my mother, can I bring a dish? She's like, why, Charles? Why? We have everything we need. So I've never cooked for my mother. I've never brought a dish home. And when I come for family meal, my aunts, my mum will put up a feast, and they say, go and play your piano. Because, I train as a concert pianist. So all my life in the family, I'm the musician. My brother's a doctor. My cousins, we all have our role. I'm not the cook. And my mother finds it very laughable that when I say, I'm actually, when I was doing a supper club at Cherry, who won MasterChef in 2023 with me, my mother said, how much are your tickets? And I told her, she said, that's like for feed for a whole village, she said. And she was so amazed that we sold the tickets out so quickly. And she was amazed at how expensive it was and people paying for it. I said, well, I can cook. And she said, well, I suppose so. And she was not convinced.
And you've still never cooked for your mum?
No, never. No.
That's so funny. Do they get you to play the piano instead?
Yes. So I get to entertain people. And you know how we love karaoke in our family. So I play it and they'll sing. So that's my role in the family, to entertain. And occasionally bring something I'm allowed to bring some cakes because nobody bakes in the family. Vietnamese people don't eat sweet things. We tend to eat a lot of fruit. So I really love baking. So I get to bring some kind of a tart or a cake that I'm working on to bring home, but nothing savoury. Not good enough.
So funny, isn't it? That's so funny that you could have a MasterChef quarter-finalist and kind of famous demonstration chef, but your family is still like, no, sorry, that box has already been taken. I'm sorry.
I know, and you all have our places. I'm sure, like in your family, you have your place, and this
And you can't
mine is.
change.
No. I just need to turn up and eat. That's my place, and I don't need to bring anything with me.
One day they'll be astounded. You'll produce something and they'll go, "You're really very good at this." Yes, thank you.
But I have a YouTube video channel, and my recipes are from my family. So I often call my mother and say, "Can you just run through how to make, let's say, banh xèo, which is our version of an Indian dosa." And so it's corn flour and rice flour and no eggs, and just very simple, just carbonated water. The batter is essential. It has to be runny enough to make a really crispy pancake, but it needs to be not too thin that it won't break. So I called my mother and said, "Can you help me?" And she said, "Well, you've seen me make it so many times. Just look at the batter. You know when it's right." And this kind of thing. You think, I look at it, but I don't know. So I have to work through. I have to measure everything, which I think she finds really funny, because Vietnamese people, you don't weigh it. You cook with love. You put things in. You taste it, and so the flavour of my food is very much from my grandmother, from my mother. So I love that. So my YouTube channel, I say to people, I don't like the word authentic, because I think it's authentic to my family. But, if you move 10 miles down the road from Vietnam, somebody else will cook it a different way, but maybe coconut rather than just plain water. And it's still delicious. So I'm not one of those people who say, "Oh, you've got to use this one." Because I think living in Britain, you need to use ingredients that is around here that people can buy, but also give you a flavour of Vietnam. And I'm happy. People like to swap things out. I'm not fussed, because I think the main thing is people got to love the dish, and that's what I want, is to share my love of Vietnamese cuisine with everybody.
Yeah, that's amazing. Do you take influences from kind of British cooking as well? I mean, how old were you when you moved over?
So I was 8, and
Yeah.
I was 8 when I came to Britain in 1981. It's funny because I grew up in a family with my grandparents, my 5 uncles, 3 aunts, my mum and dad, my brother and I. So we live in a big community of family. So I really never felt like I missed out on anything. So it felt very Vietnamese, because we cook Vietnamese food. We speak Vietnamese. I'm always really thankful to my grandmother that she insisted that my brother and I would keep our Vietnamese to speak in the family. It's good to be bilingual. I didn't appreciate it until recently, when I did my time out review, because a lot of the time when you call, people are not, it's very difficult when you speak English to people. They don't want to let you in. But when I spoke Vietnamese, it gave me a chance to meet the chef, the Vietnamese, because I think they feel more comfortable because I am Vietnamese. It just made me so thankful that, she was so adamant that we would write and speak in the family home. She said, "Can you speak English outside all the time when we're home?" So I speak to my parents in Vietnamese, and I miss my grandmother very much. And every time I do something using my language, I always say, "Thank you, Grandma." And the food is very much from her, because I think as a child, she saw something in me that I remember at age 8, she would teach me how to debone a chicken wing and stuff it and fry it. And she thought that I had a lot of skills, because I didn't cut myself and I didn't pierce the skin. It's quite hard. And my mum and my aunts found it very difficult. I quite like these tasks and spending time with my grandmother in the kitchen. So I really enjoy those moments. And when I am cooking in the kitchen, I always think of something, what would Grandma say now if she can see this? Because it would give her such a kick to see her granddaughter cooking Vietnamese food and having, a little bit of success in the food industry. And I think she would love that. And I'm just sad that she's not here to see it.
I'm sure she would. That's amazing. What a story. And with your pianist skill set as well, I imagine you must have the most dexterous hands. You must be so brilliant at that kind of fine motor skills.
So I love details. So I was really lucky to study at Royal Northern in Manchester. So a lot of the skills are transferable. So I play the piano, I teach. So it was really wonderful to transfer the teaching skill to teaching, for example, at the School of Walk in Covent Garden. I love people like you. I love people, and I love people having a good time. So my classes are always quite raucous, always run late.
I
And
can
I'm
believe
sure
that,
so
Thuy.
it's basically I run from 6 to 9. But honestly, we never leave before 10. I feel really bad for the two chefs who helps me, because we have to say 10 o'clock, we have to flash the light and say, people, would you mind leaving up, because we've got a class the next day. And every single time we have two classes running at the same time, and the class either below or above me would leave promptly at 9 with people bringing their food. My class, they stay right to last minute. They eat all the food. Hardly anybody bring anything home. We have a drink, we chat, and we actually have to say to them, I'm really sorry, you have to leave now because we need to shut it down. But I just love that. I just love that people having such a good time. And I always feel like they turn up as strangers and they leave as friends. I did have one group, they actually set a WhatsApp group after the lesson just to keep in touch with each other, which I find really incredible. That, so I think food really brings people together.
I think food does, but I also think you do, Thuy. I think you have a really magnetic persona that I can see people just really enjoying themselves around you. You project that lovely energy that invites people to do that.
So tell me,
tell me about MasterChef. What was that like? Why did you apply to be on MasterChef in the first place, and what's that whole process like?
So MasterChef was terrifying and wonderful at the same time. And the funny part was, I wasn't intending to apply for MasterChef. I applied for Great British Bake Off, and I think around about March 2022, the producer called and said, I'm really sorry you didn't make the last 12. And I was really disappointed. I said, try again next year. And I just thought, yeah, okay. So, and at the time, I think MasterChef was on, and I think one night I couldn't sleep about 3 a.m. I saw a little advert for applying for it. So I thought, oh, you know what, I can't sleep. So I just typed and just sent it off. I didn't think anything of it. So I was quite shocked when I had a phone call back saying, oh, can we have a little chat? And then I was invited to the audition. I was so shocked because obviously so many people have MasterChef, and I actually didn't think I could get a place because there was only 45 places each year. But I thought, you know what, give it a go. And I thought, I'm going to cook Vietnamese food because I thought I'm going to showcase Vietnamese food and show people how amazing our food is. And also I thought, with the end of the war, the Vietnam War in 2005, I thought it's good to raise the profile of immigrants who came to Britain who had nothing and have integrated the society. We love it here, and I want to show that we're part of the community, so that's why I thought it'd be great to enter, and I was so pleased to be on there. But I'm sure MasterChef was the team were quite relieved when I left because I'm so clumsy. There's one thing people don't know, I am super clumsy.
Really?
And I'm really great with my hand. I'm great as a pianist, but I break everything. So my first bake on the MasterChef kitchen, in my case, I yanked the oven door so hard it came out my hand. I see the whole team's going, oh, and I see the floor manager's going, it's fine, it's all good. Try to calm me down because I'm thinking, oh my god, I'm holding this hot thing, and I can hear the cameraman saying, no. We need help. She probably yanked it. And they said, can you just gently put it down to it, And every day they come in and somebody would say to me, could you not touch any of those things to me? Or don't move that. And every day I break something. So I think when I left, they're like, yes! she's finally gone. We don't need to buy so many bowls or, things. I was a walking disaster. But the team are so kind. If you ever want to enter MasterChef, I say go for it. The judges were amazing, but the team behind MasterChef, they're magnificent. They really do. They work so hard. They look after so well. And the other thing is meeting the other people who took part. We're great friends. We have a WhatsApp group. We're great support for each other. We support each other's supper club. Anyone who has any questions about, how to do something, somebody would have some expertise, and it runs for some people been there 20, we've been in MasterChef 20 years before, so you've got the new people, so it's a really nice community of people.
Oh, that sounds so lovely. I mean, you get that impression from the show that it's a really warm environment and very encouraging of the contestants.
Absolutely. I mean, are you tempted to apply? You're such a good cook, I know.
I'm not a good cook. I'm really good at making things look pretty on a plate, but I'm not actually very good at changing their form particularly well. I mean, I can cook reasonably fine mummy home cooking stuff, but I'm really not. I'm really not on anywhere near your level or anyone. I know.
You know, you're so modest, AJ. I know you. I know you so well. I know you can definitely do it if you wanted to. But I say definitely go for it if you like a bit of a challenge. And it's actually, you know, you prepare things in advance. So you get in there. The only thing is the clock goes so much faster in that kitchen than it does in real life.
Oh, does
So,
it?
yes. And
So do you get a chance to prepare then? Do you know what you're going to be cooking that week and you've got a week to practice?
Yes. And they give you like a brief. So one of them was something stuffed. So I made dumplings. But you know, you sign a form where you can't disclose or share anything with anybody else. And unfortunately, my other half, he had to eat about 300 dumplings. I tried different mixture outside. And because it's almost like end of lockdown, we had a bit of a, you know, where you don't see a lot of people. And also, I couldn't tell nobody because my mum, I love her, bless her. She's not the best person to keep secret. I thought if I tell her, she'd tell everybody. So I couldn't tell my parents. So the only person I told was my other half, David, and my brother. So poor David, who was stuck in the house with me, I think he ate all the dishes over and up, but I think it was over 300 dumplings. Wow. For 6 months, we couldn't face dumplings. We went out to dim sum. We could say to people, no dumplings, because we ate so many of them.
Wow. That's hilarious. It's the like secret tell that your partner is on MasterChef is that you've got sudden food aversions and maybe having to go for some extra runs during the day.
And it's like desserts and you have to test it out, and also trying to do under time constraint. And I think the quarter-finalist, if I say to people, if you enter it, always take 10 minutes off, because that's where I fell foul for my quarter-final. Is I didn't realise that the interview is part of your cook time. And unfortunately for me, I chat. It was 1 hour, 10 minutes to make a main course and a dessert. So I got it in just like an hour 5 at home. So I measured, I tried to, and of course I chat for 13 minutes and then
No.
Greg and John turned around and said, well, off you go now. And I was like, oh, do I get my 1 hour 10? It's like, no, it's now. And so of course my bread wasn't have time to rest. My posset didn't set. And you know, the worst part was I didn't know the posset didn't set until I watched it back on TV. I just felt horrified to watch these poor judges of these past MasterChef winners going, oh, that posset's very runny.
No, you didn't know because they're in the other room, aren't they, when they're tasting?
Yeah, and you know, and you look at the top, it looks surprisingly set, but of course it was liquid at the bottom. I didn't realise until I thought, oh, that's why, you know, it was heartbreaking. But so I'm saying, if you enter it, always shave 10 minutes off just in case your interview is part of the cook time. So that's my top tip for anyone doing MasterChef. That is a good top tip.
Are you going to go for Bake Off or anything again?
No, I don't think I could. I've been watching the latest series Bake Off. Everybody's amazing. They have so much skill. I definitely do not have the skills or the creativity of these amazing contestants. So I love to, but no.
No.
It's too frightening.
So what's next for you, Thuy? You're teaching at the School of Wok and running some supper clubs and things. What can you tell us about those?
So I'm actually quite lazy. So I only tend to do supper clubs with people that I absolutely love, like Chariot and my friend Forrest. People that have experiences of doing. Plus, I come like a sous chef, and people say to me, "Oh, do one," you know, and I'm thinking of maybe be brave and do a Vietnamese one soon, but it's the amount of work that goes behind it scares me a little bit. So what I love doing at the moment is I love writing for magazines like Great British Food. I love sharing my recipes. I love cooking at the School of Wok, and the new thing I have is I'm doing a documentary with a new producer and my director of photography about Vietnamese people who arrive in Britain. So why they chose to come here, what life was like before the end of the Vietnam War in 1975, what was the experience of living here, and what what is it like now, because I've had that journey, my family journey, but it'd be interesting to hear, their experiences. There was a documentary made, and I was part of it in 1988 by Thames Mead, and I just thought there's got quite a few issues raised, and I've managed to trace some of the people who were on that program will be doing this documentary with me. So it's great to see what it's like, all this time on, and see what's happened to them since then. I'm just curious, and also I want to show that sometimes immigrant gets a really bad rap, but actually, if you look at our community, we have a vibrant community in London and all over the country. The Vietnamese food scene is huge thanks to these people come over here. We've got people, my brother's a doctor, he works really hard. My father was an engineer, my mother had a business, and we love the UK. It's our home. I was thinking the other day about my food, and somebody asked me to think of a dish to do, and I thought, well, I'm doing a dish for a sausage company. I thought a banh mi would be perfect because it's like the Vietnamese iconic sandwich having a British banger from a really, and then you give all the, the mayonnaise, the pickle. So it's a blend of the two, because I am a blend of, Vietnamese and British. I grew up here, and I want to showcase to people that, this is our home, and I want people to appreciate that. We wanted to be here. We're part of the community, and it's funny that I laugh because my mother, when people complain,
we love having you here. I just have to say that we love having you here, and all the brilliant things you bring, you add to our culture and our community. So we love having you here.
Thank you so much. I think it's important to sometimes to say thank you to the people in the UK. So, thank you for having us, because I think if you didn't take us, life would have been very different for many of us.
It's 100 years, isn't it, this year?
So it's the end of the Vietnam War's 5th year. So it's April 2025 is the end of the Vietnam War, when the American pull out of Saigon, Ho Chi Minh City. And it's a funny day because I remember thinking that my father had passage to join, to go to America, but he chose not to leave on the boat, on the ship. So we waved my aunt and went, and my grandmother was still alive, so she didn't want to leave Vietnam. So my father decided that he would stay to be with her. And not long after, he was arrested and taken to a rehabilitation camp because he worked for, I guess he was the enemy of the state, because he worked for the South Vietnamese Navy, who were alliances with the Americans. And my dad studied in America and got his degree there. So it would have been very difficult for us if we stayed. When he came home after 3 years, my brother didn't know who he was, because when Dad left, my brother's only 2. So it was difficult. It's difficult for my dad because he missed out on so much. And we decided we have to leave Vietnam because with my dad's record, my brother and I couldn't get a degree because my father has a record. So so he felt that, he would have to sacrifice his longing to stay in the country for a better future for his children. So we left in 1981.
Wow, what a story! What a journey! It's hard for us to imagine how that must have been for you growing up, and it's a huge thing, isn't it? A huge thing to have that tearing through your country.
But I always think it's amazing how my parents, who came here with nothing, worked so hard to give my brother and I a great life. I still remember my father getting up early in the morning to have enough money. He would clean toilets at BHS and then coming home to take us to school, because where we lived was not a good area. It's like a red light district, and Dad didn't feel it was safe enough for his children to walk to school, so he would walk us to school before going back to do his degree. So for many years he would, and I remember things like I went to a very good school, but I wanted to fit in, and all my friends had this beautiful leather case that cost so much money. And I remember my father worked 2 weeks cleaning to afford to pay for it so that I could fit in. And when you're young, you don't think of things like that. But when you're older, and I think, they went through so much. Things like, I know my parents went hungry to pay for my books. I had a scholarship for piano from the music service, but the books are expensive, and they sacrificed so much that, my brother and I could have, the lessons, the extra lesson for piano. But I look back and I think, if I spend my whole life, I couldn't repay them for their kindness, and they don't ever bring it up. But as an adult, you look back and you go, they're incredible people, and I look at them. I always think, I don't know how they cope, because they were still quite young when they came here, and when my father was taken away in the concentration camp, my mother was only 20, 21, and can you imagine? It must have been really awful to have all that, and you're so young with two little children. But she's got through it. She's very buoyant. She's very upbeat, and it always make me laugh when people complain and say, "Oh, British." She said, "Don't like it, go back." And I said, "Mum," she said, "I'm British. I'm proud of it," and that makes me. That's how I think of her. So Britain is home. Yeah. They never want to go back to Vietnam. Vietnam is somewhere that we're looking and think, it's not home anymore. Home is where your family is, and I think for my parents, my brother and I are here, my nephew is here, so that's enough for them.
Yeah, no, I can see that. It's amazing. And you by you guys coming here, you've brought a huge amount to our country and to what we enjoy, and it's amazing.
Oh, thank you so much for saying that.
I mean it. Thank you so much for sharing your story today, Thuy. It's been amazing to hear your journey, and I'm really excited to see what comes up next. Can you share what's your YouTube channel? How do people follow more about you?
So I'm on Thuy Cooks, and it's spelled Thuy, Thuy Cooks, and I have a challenge from my producer at the moment to reach 1,000 subscribers, and he's promised me, Martin has promised to eat durian. I don't know whether you've ever heard of durian. It's the smelliest fruit in Asia. It's banned in hotel. You can't bring it on buses, planes, or transport. I don't think Martin realised what he's in for. So if you subscribe, we shall see Martin eating durian on film.
Brilliant.
So please follow me, and if you love Vietnamese food, give my recipe a try, and if there's anything you want me to cook for you, send me a message and I do it.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you so much, Thuy. Thank you for taking the time to come and talk to us today. It's been absolutely a pleasure seeing you again.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been such an honour. Thank you so much, and if you ever get a chance, come over. I cook for you, AJ.
Can't wait. Yes, please.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. You've been listening to Food Rebels, which is available on radio stations around the UK and further afield. You can also listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify and Audible. Please remember to subscribe and rate us with 5 stars or follow us. It makes such a difference, not just to our podcast and radio show, but it really helps to support the guests that come on the show with us. We're also on Instagram at food_rebels. So give us a follow, do get in touch. We love hearing from you, and let us know what you think. Thanks so much for joining us, and make sure you taste the rebellion.